Style, story, substance. On today's episode of Culture Q, it's all woven together. This is a space where creativity leads and the culture listens. Hey y'all, I'm Aniyah and welcome to our very first episode of Culture Q. I am smiling so hard just saying that because this space has been on my heart for a minute. I created it for us, the dreamers, the makers, and the culture shapers. So every week we're going to dive deep with creatives who move with meaning. Because around here, it's all about what to know, who to know, and where to go. And we're starting strong today. Today, we're sitting down with CEO and founder of Musebrnd, Miaysha, to talk about entrepreneurship and, of course, all things fashion. So get comfy, grab your homegirls or homeboys, and let's dive right in. My first guest, the actual first guest for Culture Q TV, is a creative force who's been redefining what it means to be a designer, a CEO, and an it girl all at once. She's the founder of Musebrnd, a fashion house where streetwear meets high fashion. Her designs have been worn by some of our favorite it girls like Mariah the Scientist, Kyra Amanique, that's Dior, Elisa Washington, JT from the City Girls. List goes on and on and on. Beyond the names, it's her unorthodox approach to design, her Philly grit, and her intuitive sense of style that makes her a true original. So please help me welcome the visionary behind the brand, Miss Muse. Miaysha, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy that you're my first guest for the show.
I'm happy to be your first guest.
No, I knew I wanted it to be you.
Yeah.
You're the founder and designer of Musebrnd, the face of Musebrnd. But before all of that, I kind of want to dive into who Miaysha is. Like, who were you like growing up? What were you like growing up? What kind of things interest you? That kind of thing.
Growing up, I was always very creative. So I was always very artsy. I started off dancing at 4 years old. I just always wanted like the spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
So I always thought I would be like an entertainer or something. Like I loved being on stage. I have a famous quote from their era. I told my mom, like, I don't want to practice. I want to be out there on the stage.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I just wanted to perform. I just wanted like to be out there. So outside of that, I was doing like pottery classes and just like anything within the arts. On my free time, I would be drawing and just creative, like super creative. Anything artsy, I wanted to do it.
Yeah, so I personally remember you from high school, back in our high school days. And I can say you've always been an it girl. Like exactly who you are today is who you've been since I've known you. And you've said that every piece of your life has shaped your brand. Mm-hmm. So what were some of those early experiences that helped you find your voice as a designer and a creative?
I would say self-expression. So throughout like growing up, I always wanted to express myself because I've always been very expressive.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just do things to like explore myself and how I felt. And but I was like a shy person in a sense, which is kind of like a dichotomy in itself. But I wanted ways to express myself without having to really say much because I wasn't really the type of person that would walk in and just be like, hi, I'm so-and-so, this is what I'm doing.
Right.
So I'm like, I want to express myself in a way where I don't really have the same thing, but people will immediately be like intrigued. So I got into fashion because it's the best way to express yourself without saying any words at all.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like what helped me shape the brand. Also too, like coming from, the inner city, the hood, quote unquote, you don't have as many options or resources. So I also believe that helped me because I would use whatever I had available to me to help express myself as well, which now that I'm older and wiser and have a lot more resources, I would say that the most and best creativity comes from when you have little to nothing.
Right.
So.
No, I love that. And I love that you bring up Philly and just what that means, like coming from the hood. I want to touch on that a little later. I remember your very first Musebrnd piece when we were in high school. I think it was the tube dress with the matching choker. And I was so irked my mom did not let me get it. But I would have to say, we always knew like who you would be. So how would you say your brand has evolved since then, since your very first piece?
I would say it has evolved a lot. I can't really put into words how. I kind of just we've been growing together. So I've been growing as a person. I feel like age plays a big role in it because I started when I was 18. Kind of like the last few months of high school. So I was obviously high school to now, that was more than 10 years ago. And I've grown so much. So the business has grown in a lot of ways. The customer base, the market of people I serve has also influenced the growth. What I know now about business, which is aside from creativity, has influenced the growth. So like there's so many ways that it has just changed and grown since then.
I love that. And I love that you mentioned your target audience and your customer base, because like I mentioned in your intro, we have seen some of our favorite it girls in your pieces. So what did it mean, or what does it mean, because it's still happening for you now, to see your work on women who are shaping the culture?
It means everything to me. It means the world to me that Muse is getting out there. My vision is getting out there. Because like you said, like I've always been this person, but I just wanted to reach people.
Right.
And so seeing like-minded women just sport my pieces and they look amazing.
We do.
It really makes me feel like, okay, like this is, it's coming true. Like my vision is getting in reality now.
Definitely. I remember I think I was watching Kyra's vlog, one of Kyra's vlogs, and I was like, is that a Musebrnd piece she has?
Yeah.
And it made me so happy for you, and just like to know the person that made these designs, and it's on a platform as big as hers. And then when you have like JT from the City Girls and Mariah the Scientist wearing your pieces while they are performing, while they are meeting their audiences, like it's just huge, and it's amazing to see. So who is one person that hasn't yet been in Musebrnd that you would love to see in your pieces?
Rihanna.
Okay, that was a quick answer.
I love Rihanna.
Yeah.
It has to be Rihanna. Okay. Obviously, I want all fly women. Doesn't have to be celebrity, influencer, famous. I want to see as many fly women as possible in my pieces. Yes. But if I had to choose a person, which there's so many, but I love Rihanna. That's like my Pisces sister in my head. And I just love her. But outside of her, I want all fly women. I mean that in my heart. Like all the women that identify as like fly, fun, whatever. I want them to be in it.
Perfect. So fly girls, you need to be laced up in some Muse.
Yeah.
A lot of people describe their personal style as a slow burn, like something that builds over time. Did you always feel confident using fashion to express yourself growing up, or is that something you had to evolve into? Is that something that you had to kind of grow into as you were finding your voice, or was that always who you were?
It was always who I was. I didn't even really realize it happening per se, because so I always felt like an outcast just naturally. So from the moment I realized like I'm me and everybody else is everybody else, I kind of just stopped thinking about the world and just thought about the world that I live in and myself. So I would just do whatever felt right to me. And as a creative, you express yourself in so many different ways, but getting dressed is definitely one of them. I mean, my mom would like buy me clothes up until I was like, I would say like 11. And then that's when I started to tell her like, no, this is what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I just did whatever I wanted. I wasn't really trying to fit in. I was just literally doing what I wanted. I actually remember times when I would like get dressed, because for me, it's always been a whole mood, not just the clothes, it's the hair, it's the makeup,
Mm-hmm.
the accessories. Like, I'm going to put it all together. So I remember I used to like put on anything. My hair used to be however I felt like it. And I would just experiment. I would get dressed and be like, okay. And my mom would be like, you are not coming out the house to me like that. Oh, yes. And I would be like, I used to fight her on it like, girl, why?
Mm-hmm.
This is me. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You don't know. And I was looking crazy. Like, looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, that was a little crazy. But I love the fact that at those ages, you know, when you can easily be persuaded by peer pressure, I was just like, I don't care about none of that. I'm going to wear what I want to wear. I don't care what they say. I don't care what my mom say. It was about what I wanted to do. So
yeah,
this has always been me for sure.
It's true originality.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit of a lost art today. So it's very refreshing to hear when designers have their own idea, their own aesthetics, their own brand. So let's actually talk about the name Musebrnd. So it's bold. It feels like a statement. How did you come up with it? Even with having it be all caps, even with leaving the A out of brand, what was your mindset or thought behind that process?
So I came up with the name when I definitely was 17 at the time. So I was in high school and I was preparing to go to college, but I already knew like what my life plan was at the time. So I knew I wanted to start a brand, and the name was like, a name is so hard because it's so important.
Yeah.
So I was experimenting with names, and I was like, I want something that reflects me. So I wanted it to be with M. And I was like, I wanted to be short and sweet, but I wanted to represent what it is that I'm trying to do here. And so I was doing a lot of research, and the name Muse stood out to me because a muse is a inspiration for an artist, but it really is just an inspiration in general. And so I wanted women to be inspired by the clothing. And like I said, I wanted them to have pieces that they can wear that speak for them, and they don't even have to speak themselves. So that kind of was all wrapped together. And so for me, Muse just stuck with me because I feel like I said, it was short, it was sweet, wasn't too much, and it also represented who I was. And then the brand part just came as an addition to Muse. I left out the A because I didn't want it to say like brand. So BRND just stuck, and then it was just like Muse, BRND, Musebrnd. I was like, okay, this is it's good. Yeah, this is good. So
I love that. No, I love that. When you think about like what a muse is and your intentionality and kind of just wanting that to reflect with your audience and resonate with your audience is really beautiful and thoughtful for the people who are wearing your clothes. So when I wear my Musebrnd now, I'm thinking, okay, this was done intentionally.
Yes, it was.
Yes. So I really appreciate that. So you're a true designer and very intentional with every detail of your brand, like we just started talking about. Could you walk me through your creative process a little bit? So how does a Musebrnd piece come to life?
So there's a few things. I'm mostly trying to figure out a problem I'm trying to solve. Obviously taking a creative idea, but also trying to figure out how will this reflect in someone's life? Like, what would they do with this item? So, and then I think about what makes me feel good. So just merging those things together. And then of course, like whatever is in seasonal, like the color palette or the fabrics or the shapes, the silhouettes, just taking everything all together and then coming up with ideas. And for me, like, again, I'm a true creative in a sense where it starts to become a feeling versus like piece by piece. So I'll have the ideas and the concepts, but then I from there go, what am I actually feeling? What am I gravitating towards? And then what I feel the best about, I go forward with, and the rest is always history.
That's very interesting to kind of see what your process and your brain is like behind that, because it's very rare, again, that people are actually designing their own clothes. Boutique culture is really big.
Yes.
Having vendors is really big. So for you to do your own sketches, for you to kind of think through every piece is very intentional. On your website, you quote Jay-Z when he says, "This is where hood and high fashion meet." That line says so much. So going back to your Philly roots, as someone who's born and raised in Philly, what does a phrase like that mean to you, not just as a designer, but as a Black woman who is building a brand from the ground up?
For me, that statement is very powerful because it kind of feels like my entire life in a phrase. Like, see, from the hood, born and raised, West Philly. So I grew up around such a rough environment and I saw it every single day. So to then want and aspire for the complete opposite, but still be true to myself at the same time is where I was like, this definitely fits me. And then as far as like developing the brand, I was like, just natural for me to incorporate those two things because it is actually inspiring to me, like the city we live in and seeing like the grit of it all, but also seeing the beautiful side of it. Like I've always been very obsessed with graffiti and how, you know, Black people have been in such dark spaces but make the best out of it every single time. And so I feel it's like a scary place, but I also feel comfortable there. It's like a weird dichotomy. So that phrase represents how I see the world.
No, that's really inspiring. From Philly girl to Philly girl. The beautiful pieces of our city, Philadelphia, are often overlooked by people who are not from the city. So I see that a lot with, oh, like Philly's dirty, Philly's this, Philly's that. But to be born and raised here gives you a different kind of grit, gives you a different kind of ambition, just everything that I think a successful business owner, CEO would need to succeed. So like so many independent designers, you've had fast fashion brands copy your work. How did that hit you when you first saw it? I know how it hit me scrolling and seeing what I know to be your design on a website that is not Musebrnd. So how did you feel about that? And then how are you also protecting your creativity in a space that doesn't always protect designers?
So the first time, there's been so many, so I can't even begin to recall the first time because it's like such a non-factor to me at this point. But I remember feeling so many different feelings. I mean, sadness first, and then anger second, and then just like a sense of like downness, like, why me? And then you know, just like the normal feelings of like, wow, I've just been ripped off. But, you know, I have a really good support system and those people are very tough. Where we come from, everyone around me is tough. So literally, like, I'm a water sign, I'm emotional. Everybody around me is the opposite. So they're like, listen, I definitely credit my mom. She's a very tough woman and she's just like always tells me like straight up. So I remember the first time her words to me were like, she very stoic, straight face, like watching me crying upset and said, if this is how you're going to react every time, this is not the space for you. Period. And so from her and then like also my boyfriend, he's the same way. Everyone is just like you'll know that this comes with being great. So don't let it affect you. Don't let it get you down. Don't give it any energy. And so from there, I stop. I don't give it any energy. I know a lot of people reach out to me when they see it, which I respect and I appreciate, because people they think about me, but I pretty much have to let it roll off my shoulders and just be the bigger person in life. So the way I protect my creativity is I just protect myself and my own heart, because there's never going to be a time where you can actually fully protect yourself. Like, once you introduce something to the world, that's it. And then if I try to withhold it, then I wouldn't be sharing my gift with the world anymore. So it's kind of like a catch-22. You have to decide, like, do I want to express myself and be who I am and get everything I want out of this life? And if the answer is yes, then I basically just have to do it and move forward. And once it's out there, put it behind me and never think about it again. So, obviously, if there's a time when things go a little too far, then I'll get like the law involved. But other than that, I just have to have those talks with myself to like just keep my head up and not let anything bring me down.
Yeah. And I think there's also beauty in just knowing that no one can 100% copy your design because of how intentional and the detail that goes into it. So it's easy to spot, like, this isn't Musebrnd. Like, I see what you were trying to do, but there are pieces that are missing that are very unique to Musebrnd. So kudos to you for thinking about those small little details that a lot of others would overlook in your pieces and designs. I want to talk a little bit about your team, because before you had a team, you were a one-woman show. So what was it like wearing so many hats early on in your journey with Musebrnd? And then how did you go about selecting teammates who are sharing that same vision with you that you have for your brand?
So being a one-woman show and wearing many hats, it just came naturally because, again, we come from a place where there aren't many resources. So all I really know is to figure it out. I'm also the oldest child, the firstborn daughter. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that experience is also a very much figured out kind of independent type of role. So I've always had that mindset. And, like I said, my mom, she's a very tough woman. She also was a single mom. So I kind of had to figure a lot of things out on my own anyway. So with that, it was just like, I was extremely determined, Like, this is something I've wanted since I was 9 years old and nothing else. So I told myself, you will have to figure it out. And so that just came with figuring it out. So it was kind of it was natural because my level of ambition was like peaked. So, but now building a team, that's a good question. It's very interesting. I try to look for like-minded people that have the same drive as me. Nobody's perfect, but if the drive is there, I believe that you can get where you need to be. That's because we have the same goal in mind.
Yeah, no, that's amazing how you just kind of pivoted into that, and then also just knowing how bad and how deeply you want something and not allowing circumstances to sway you from that. And that speaks to me personally, even with creating the show, like kind of just creating your own path and not waiting for set opportunity, not waiting to have all the pieces together. Someone, I can't remember who said it. It may have been our executive producer, Kiava, but she said something like, make it exist first and then make it perfect.
Yes.
And that is something that I'm trying to live by now in everything that I want to do, all of the dreams. So I think that's kind of the same thing that you're saying with Musebrnd is to kind of just get out of your own head.
Yes.
And just start.
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly how I started. I listen, the ambition and drive was definitely there. I'm telling you, I didn't know how to sew at the moment. Like, I was getting little classes here and there. I was building my way up. One thing about me, if I want something to happen, I'm going to dedicate myself to it for sure. And if I feel a distraction coming, it has to get cut out.
Yeah.
I don't play about me.
As you shouldn't. That's an impeccable sense of discipline, I would say. And it's needed to have a successful business.
Businesses.
I told you, I'm not even a business owner, but I'm sure, and I have heard and seen how sticky things can get. Being a CEO, being a founder, all of those things. But the same way things can get sticky, it can also be very rewarding.
For sure.
So what's been the most rewarding and I guess most challenging part of building your brand?
The most rewarding part is watching myself actualize a dream, because you can want something your whole life, but it can also just be a want. So watching it actually happen is like insanity, because a lot of times I don't even allow myself to step back and view.
Celebrate.
Right. Yeah. But when I actually do those things, I'm like pretty amazed. Yeah. So that's been the most rewarding part. I would say the most challenging part has been literally everything else. I can't put a stamp on it. Very sorry. Yeah. It's a burst bubble.
No answer.
Yeah, but sorry, gotta be real. Every piece is challenging. Every piece.
So how are you overcoming those challenges then? Because Musebrnd, first of all, congratulations on almost 10 years. You talked about your first design happening nearly 10 years ago, which is crazy to think.
I know, right?
We're getting kind of old. But how do you push through those challenges and have a brand with such longevity like yours?
I would say you have to really, really you have to want it. You gotta want it. It has to be a want that keeps you up at night. It has to be like, well, for me anyway, it was very stomach turning for me if I wasn't doing what I need to do. So it always brought me back. I could have a bad day, week, month, but I continuously got up and tried again. And that is the only way I overcame all of this. I mean, looking back, that is the way. I just had to keep trying until something stuck. So
yeah. And so I guess to that, if you could give one piece of advice for aspiring fashion designers, entrepreneurs, business owners, what would you say to them?
It's going to sound cliche, but I would just say to never give up. Like, when they say consistency is key and just to keep going, it is a real thing. You will see progress at the end if you just continuously try, fall down, realize what you did wrong, try something else. If you stay dedicated to anything, you will be successful at anything. You can be the most talented person, but if you don't put in the work, nothing will come of it. You have to be able to do both.
Right. Wow. That was beautiful. This was such an amazing conversation. So thank you so much for being our first guest on Culture Q. It's been such a pleasure just sitting and chatting with you, catching up with you really, and just hearing about all the inspiring things that we can give back to our audience and all the aspiring entrepreneurs, CEOs, and everything like that. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm very honored and excited to be your first guest, just to be your guest in general. Like, very happy. I loved our interview. It was amazing. And I'll be back.
Yeah, please come back. We have to celebrate your 10-year next year. Okay. Yes. So y'all heard it here first. We will be back with Musebrnd as we celebrate 10 years. As we wrap, I could not leave without getting some fashion tips from a fashion designer. So stay tuned for the next segment and see what we're about to cook up. episode of Culture Q was so special. Not only was it our first episode, but we had an amazing guest. So another thank you to Miaysha for being here today and allowing us in her beautiful studio. So before we close things out, I want to leave you with something to carry. We call it the Q of the week, and it's a reminder or a thought, even a vibe, something to keep you grounded while you grow. And this week's Q is to wear your story. Your outfit can be the story you tell before you even speak. So stay rooted in who you are, because there's power in originality and beauty in the parts of you that are unique. It's okay to be you, unapologetically. Thank you so much for joining me on this first step into something so special. Culture Q is just getting started, and I'm so glad you're here. Huge shout out to our executive producer, Kiava Hurd, and our assistant producer, Maria Prater. Make sure you tune in next week so you don't miss your Q. Until next time.